If you're a traveller and you're thinking of going to the Philippines and you want to learn a bit of the language, but you don't know what words to know or you don't know what words are worth knowing, I'm going to be going through key words that are really important to know if you're going to the Philippines. The 6 most important words to know in any language, whatever that is, it's how to say hello, thank you, sorry, how to say yes and no, and then how to say goodbye in whatever language that is. So I'm going to be putting the Filipino words on the left, and then I'm going to put the English words on the right. So to say hello in Filipino, you can literally just say the same as what it is in English, hello. Or you can say kumusta. Now, kumusta, the exact translation in English means how are you? And this comes from the Spanish word como estas, and there's quite a few words like this in Filipino that have been derived from Spanish, which is a direct result of them being colonised by Spain. To say yes, it's really easy, you just say oo. To say no, you say hindi. And this is spelt kind of the same as the language in India, Hindi, but you pronounce it as hindi, not Hindi, hindi. To say thank you, you say salamat, or if you're talking to someone older than you, or if you want to show respect, you can say salamat po. Salamat is probably one of the most well-known Filipino words. I think nearly every foreigner that's been to the Philippines knows how to say salamat or has heard of the word salamat. To say sorry in Filipino, you can say pasensya na, or you can say patawad. Although patawad is quite a formal word and you don't really need to know it. It's a lot more practical just to say pasensya na. To say goodbye in Filipino, you can say paalam. And remember, if you're talking to someone older than you, to put po at the end of a sentence, so you'd say paalam po. Another way of saying goodbye is sige na, but you'd only really use this if you're talking to your friends. You wouldn't say this to someone much older than you or someone you're trying to show respect to. And the word sige also has a few other meanings. It can be used as the equivalent of okay in English, so if someone says something you can just say sige, which is literally just like saying okay. Or it can mean, go on, sige, go on. And it's one of the most common words you'll hear. If you're sure about something, you can say sigurado. If you're not sure, if you just want to say maybe, you can say seguro. Or you can say baka for maybe. You may have heard some people call the language in the Philippines Tagalog and then also Filipino. And what is the right way to call it? So officially, the language in the Philippines is English and also Wikang Filipino. And this translated into English just means Filipino language, with Wika meaning language and Filipino obviously meaning the same as what it does in English. So it's just a slightly different format. It's the opposite format. And then technically Tagalog isn't a language, it's a dialect. It's the dialect spoken in Manila and many of the provinces close to Manila and around Manila. But you can still use Tagalog to describe the language because Filipino is based off standard Tagalog, so they're kind of the same thing. Now, a lot of foreigners pronounce Tagalog wrong. They'll say it as Tagalog, when you should be pronouncing it as Tagalog. The middle syllable kind of has a sound. It's not it's Tagalog, Tagalog. And then saying the name of the country itself in Filipino, you would say Pilipinas. And then for the people, you would say Pilipino. So the language, Filipino, the country, Pilipinas, the people, Filipino. And the F in Filipino is the only F used in Tagalog, because for all other words, they don't actually have F in their alphabet. They've only used F for Filipino, just to reflect the history of America and Spain colonizing them. Now, in Filipino or Tagalog, there's a lot of adjectives where you can put ma before the word. For example, masarap, which means tasty. And this is one of the most overused words that I see in Filipino advertisement when it comes to foods. You'll always see sarap or masarap written on the poster. Mabuti means good. Mainit means hot. And this is definitely worth knowing because it is always mainit in the Philippines. Maganda means beautiful. Malayo means far. And then the opposite, malapit, means close. Malaki means big. And maliit means small. Marami means loads. And then the opposite of this is konti, or you can say konti lang, which means just a little, with lang meaning just in this sentence. Ano means what, and then it can also be used as an expression if you don't know what to say. Kind of the equivalent to saying in English. So if you don't know what to say, if you're trying to speak Filipino, you can say ano. Now there are some words in Filipino that have 2 different meanings. even though they're the same word. So mahal can either mean love or expensive, and they both have the exact same spelling and pronunciation, so the only way to distinguish the difference would be in the context of the sentence. And then the opposite of expensive is mura, which again has two meanings. So mura can either be cheap, or it can be swear, as in a bad word. Makano means how much, and remember to put po on the end if you want to show respect to someone. You'd say makano po. CR or baño means toilet or restroom. CR is kind of an English word because it stands for convenience room, but it's still used in Tagalog, or usually if you're in someone's house they would just say baño. Wala means nothing. Meron means there is, or if you're going to say a word after, you'd say may and then the word. So for example, if you're going to say there is people, you'd say may tao. But then if you just wanted to say there is on its own, you'd say meron. Tama means correct, mali means incorrect or wrong, wag na means don't, gusto ko means I like, ayaw ko means I don't like, or another way of saying I don't like is ayoko, which is a shorter way of writing this word. Puede is can, hindi puede can't. Kanin means rice, and this is definitely worth knowing because there is a lot of rice in the Philippines. Quite often Filipinos will have rice with every single meal, even breakfast, which is unheard of for people where I'm from. But kanin only means cooked rice, so it only means boiled rice that's soft. If you wanted to describe rice that's still in the bag, hard rice that's uncooked, you would call it bigas. Dito means here, and then jan or doon means there. Now you'd use jan if it's something that's close to you and the speaker, or doon if it's away from the speaker. And then by far the most important word to know in Tagalog is pinakanakakapagpapagapagdamdamin. And to be honest, I don't think anyone uses this word because it's too long. I believe it's the longest word in Filipino, and I believe it means most anxious feeling, but it is kind of all one word. And if you learn this word and say this to a Filipino, they would probably be quite impressed with you, because I think not all Filipinos can say this word, but it's definitely not a word you need to know. Now, a lot of Filipino speakers like to mix English words in when they speak. Some of the most common Taglish phrases that would be used are phrases such as wait lang, which means just wait. Now, if you wanted to say this in pure Tagalog, you could say sandali lang. And then a Taglish way of saying sorry, you can just say sorry na, which is just a Taglish way of saying pasensya na. And as well, you'll often hear people say thank you po instead of salamat po. And one of the most common Taglish phrases you'll hear now is sana all, which in pure Tagalog is sana lahat, which means hopefully everyone, or I wish everyone. And people would say this, if something nice happens to someone, they would say sana all, because they want that nice thing to happen to everyone. So there you have it. Those were the most useful and most common Tagalog words. Make sure you memorise all these words, well, except for pinakanakakapagpapagapagdamdamin, because you probably don't need to know that word since it's not used that much. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel because it really means a lot to me. Thanks for watching, goodbye.